made it. I have yet to get my feet completely wet. Me too.
5 most terrifying cave incidents ever caught on camera. Sometimes, cave explorers push too far, chasing thrill over caution, only to find themselves trapped, lost, or face-to-face with something no one was meant to see. From a diver's final moments caught on camera to ancient remains hidden deep underground, these are the 5 most terrifying cave incidents ever caught on camera. 1. The McCoy Gold Mine, the Shoe and Bone Mystery. Back in May 2019, a YouTuber named Connor Kelly uploaded a video that quickly stirred up speculation and internet sleuthing. He and his family had gone out to explore the abandoned McCoy Gold Mine, tucked deep in the Nevada desert. From the start, they moved carefully, speaking in low tones to avoid triggering a collapse. But it turned out falling rocks weren't the real danger.
Okay, so in the video you're about to see, what we do is we head down into there.
This dead end.
Just about a minute into their descent, Connor noticed something shiny on the path. As they got closer, they realized it was a shoe. And soon, they were staring at a huge random pile of shoes, some modern, some clearly decades old and falling apart with dust. But what truly shook them were the bones. They saw scattered fragments and even what looked like a full spine at one point. While they didn't claim the bones were human, the discovery rattled them enough to cut the trip short and leave in a hurry. Online, theories exploded. Some believed the mine had been a dumping ground for a serial killer, especially since missing 411 cases often mentioned shoes being the only thing found. Others suggested it could have been a mountain lion's den. But a few skeptics accused Connor of staging the whole thing, pointing out how oddly clean some bones looked, and questioning the clickbait title about kid shoes. Strangely, no investigation followed. No police reports, no local coverage, nothing. Connor never responded to the backlash, and before long, he disappeared from YouTube completely. So, was this a horrifying mystery that slipped under the radar, or a viral hoax no one bothered to debunk? Nobody knows, and maybe that's what makes it so unforgettable. Now, while Connor and his group were able to find their way out quickly, these next guys got lost and they couldn't find their way back. Pettyjohn's Cave, Nervous Breakdown Passage. In early 2022, Edward and James, better known as the action-adventure twins, set out to explore one of the most challenging parts of Pettyjohn's Cave in Georgia. They had tackled caves before, squeezing through tight spaces and sliding down vertical shafts. But this time, they wanted to push things further by entering a section called Nervous Breakdown. And that name existed for a reason.
Okay, today we're at Pettyjohn's Cave, and we're going to a place called Nervous Breakdown. It's gonna be hours back in this cave. I think Nervous Breakdown is gonna be just as bad as it sounds.
At first, everything went as planned. They moved through familiar sections, crawled through narrow gaps, and reached a wider space. But as the cave tightened again, the air got thicker, and the mud made everything slippery.
Oh, that's slick.
Oh, it's so tight, man. Not much bigger than my backpack.
After about 25 minutes of crawling, they entered a room with a steep drop in the middle. One wrong move, and someone could have slid straight in. They passed through it cautiously, but things only got worse.
Oh, it's a nervous breakdown up there.
Oh, you think this is Nervous Breakdown?
Maybe.
Well, it had to happen at some point.
When they reached the entrance to Nervous Breakdown, they realized part of it had collapsed. The tunnel looked unfamiliar, but Edward, determined to keep going, crawled in alone. It didn't take long before he noticed something was wrong. He couldn't hear James, and every turn looked identical.
James! James! It's been like 30 minutes since I last saw him. I don't even know where I'm at. I tried to go back to the last place I saw him.
After nearly an hour of wrong turns and tight squeezes, he finally saw a piece of orange tape they had left earlier. That single marker led him back to James, and their nervous laughter said it all. They had come dangerously close to something far worse.
Where I left James has got to be back this way somewhere. James! Oh! You're over here? Yeah. Oh, dude. This place is a maze, man.
Oh, hey, I see your light.
Dude. I thought we were never gonna see each other.
Dude, I know. Oh, I found my way back up to the mystery room.
Oh,
There's
man.
2 different ways.
They made it out, but it changed how they explored caves forever. Because sometimes the scariest part isn't what's hiding in the dark. It's realizing you don't know how to get out. Edward and James got lucky, but not everyone does. In our next story, we head across the Atlantic, where one explorer found himself in a race against rising water, trapped in a cave with only seconds to spare. Lost John's Cave, the Tube Trap. In 2014, a group of experienced cavers entered Lost John's Cave in Lancashire, England, planning a multi-hour adventure through one of the UK's most complex cave systems. Among them was Bob Johnson, a seasoned explorer who had already tackled dozens of brutal environments across Europe. Lost John's stretches nearly 5 kilometers underground, with vertical drops, tight tunnels, and a section even veteran cavers dreaded: the tube. The tube was exactly what it sounded like: a long, narrow tunnel, barely wider than a person's body, and partially submerged in icy water. To pass through, you had to crawl flat on your stomach, keeping your head tilted just high enough to breathe while the water rose along your sides. There was no turning around. Once you committed, it was all or nothing. Bob had made it about halfway when things went horribly wrong. As he wriggled through one of the tightest bends, he got stuck, wedged from the waist down, completely unable to move. The water pressed around him, creeping higher, and the space was so tight he couldn't even lift his chest. Panic set in fast. He called for help, trying to stay calm, but every breath felt more shallow than the last. The water didn't have to flood the tunnel. It just needed to rise a few more inches.
Help me! Help! Fucking hell!
Luckily, the cavers behind him didn't freeze. They quickly changed plans, abandoning the forward path and working to pull Bob out the way he'd come. It wasn't easy, but after a tense struggle, they managed to free him.
I physically wedged. You have to go out.
Just push out back.
It's on now, you pull me!
You might have to pull him back. He's stuck at this corner. That's it. Yeah? This? Yeah, it looks tight.
When they finally emerged from the tube, Bob was shaking, soaked and barely holding it together. He never returned to caving after that. Instead, he picked up cycling, something a little less claustrophobic. That day didn't just scare him, it reshaped how he looked at risk and reminded everyone that even the most experienced explorers aren't immune when nature tightens its grip. Bob's story was a close call. Our next story isn't just about survival, it's about a discovery that rewrote a small piece of history. Mysterious Pit Cave, Native American Remains. In September 2024, Edward and James, the action-adventure twins, received a message from a landowner about a strange sinkhole on his property. He had dropped a weighted rope inside and estimated the drop to be over 200 feet. No records mentioned any cave there, and no one had ever explored it. That was all the invitation the twins needed. Their video opened with them standing at the edge of a barely visible hole in the woods. After securing ropes to a tree and running a full gear check, they began their descent.
It's still... Oh! You were right, it kept going. Okay.
Okay.
Oh, dude.
Kept going.
At first, the space was tight and steep, but soon it opened into a cavern so massive and dark, their voices barely echoed.
Yeah! This is crazy. Woo-hoo-hoo! Yeah! That was awesome, dude.
But awe turned quickly to tension. Less than a minute in, they spotted bones scattered across the rocky floor. At first, they thought it might have been an animal, but then James found part of a skull. Its human-like shape stopped them cold. As they moved deeper, they found even more bones, a femur, another partial skull, and pieces of climbing rope embedded into the cave wall. The idea that someone might have fallen or been trapped there grew more chilling with each discovery.
Dude, there's so many bones down there.
Dude, look, there's bones everywhere.
This thing's a death trap.
Look, they're scattered in the ground.
All right, I'm gonna take this harness off. No way, dude.
The twins reported the discovery immediately. After an investigation, experts confirmed the remains were those of a Native American individual, estimated to be around 2,000 years old. Whether the person had fallen or been placed there in a burial ritual remained uncertain. What began as just another caving video had transformed into a moment of reverence and a reminder that not all caves lead to adventure. Some lead to the past. This discovery offered answers. But the next one didn't. In fact, it left behind only questions, heartbreak, and one final recording from a man who never resurfaced. Let's talk about the haunting last dive of one of the world's most daring explorers. Bushman's Hole, the deepest death dive. In October 2004, David Shaw, a 50-year-old Australian commercial pilot and world-class technical diver, descended into Bushman's Hole, a freshwater sinkhole in South Africa that plunges to depths of over 270 meters. He was attempting a deep dive that only a handful of people in the world were physically and mentally trained for.
I've got two legs on this thing.
Disgusting. You've got to have a look at.
But this wasn't just about setting a record. At the bottom of the cave, Shaw had discovered the body of Dion Dreyer, a 20-year-old diver who had drowned during a dive in 1994 and whose remains had remained unrecovered ever since. Shaw's discovery reignited public interest in the site. After consulting Dion's parents and working closely with a highly coordinated dive team, Shaw committed to retrieving the body. The recovery mission was set for January 8, 2005. The plan was meticulous, down to the second. Multiple support divers were stationed at various depths, and Shaw would secure Dion's body in a custom-designed recovery bag, then pass it to his dive partner Don Shirley at 220 meters.
When I recall the dive, I recall mainly how smoothly the whole thing went. The preparation early on in the morning went smoothly, kitting up.
But things didn't go as planned. Once underwater, Shaw encountered immediate complications. Dion's body, originally embedded in silt, was looser than expected. The corpse floated unpredictably, causing lines to tangle. Shaw's equipment, a closed-circuit rebreather, began malfunctioning under the stress. He became tangled in the guidelines, and as he tried to free himself, he began to suffer from nitrogen narcosis. His decision-making started to fail. His breathing slowed, his movement became sluggish, and eventually his body gave out. Don, diving slightly higher, suffered his own medical emergency from oxygen toxicity but managed to survive. Shaw didn't.
Don's alright anyway.
Don's okay.
Dave's not coming
Dave's
back.
not coming back.
I need to get on the radio.
No.
Okay, you okay? Don's okay. So, Don's okay.
When rescuers eventually pulled Shaw's body from the cave, they found Dion's remains still attached to him, secured to the line just as he had planned. The entire dive was captured on Shaw's helmet camera. Though the footage is not widely available in raw form, it's been described in detail by Don Shirley. The video shows Shaw's slow decline, his coordination breaking down, his light flickering, and the line tangling around him as he drifts into unconsciousness. It's haunting because it doesn't feel dramatic. It feels quiet, subtle. Just a man trying to complete a task until his body says no more.
Dave's breathing would be getting quite heavy as he's trying to work his way out. And slowly, Dave would start to become incoherent, and then he would stop.
What makes this dive so horrifying isn't just the depth or the death, it's the sheer complexity of it all. Shaw was highly trained, surrounded by experts, backed by police and medics, and still, a single misstep became fatal. Bushman's Hole isn't just dangerous because it's deep, it's dangerous because there's no room for mistakes. So now, which of these cave stories shocked you the most? And well, could you ever see yourself stepping into one of these underground worlds? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed diving into these intense real-life moments, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives just like this.